Imagine waking up to find out your neighbor wants your dog gone. Not just out of the neighborhood, but gone forever. That's exactly what happened to Alex, a regular guy living in a quiet suburban community. He thought he had it all figured out. Peaceful mornings, evening walks with his dog Max, and friendly nods from neighbors. Until Karen showed up. Karen wasn't just any neighbor. She was a self-appointed enforcer of the Homeowners Association rules, and she had her eyes set on Max. Why? Because she claimed he barked too much. A few complaints here and there, and suddenly she was demanding something completely unthinkable. She wanted Max to be euthanized. Yes, euthanized for barking. Most people expect a warning or maybe a fine, but this wasn't just about noise. It was about power, control, and one woman's obsession with being in charge. Karen took it so far. She dragged the issue into a courtroom. That's when things took a turn no one expected. People packed into the courtroom, waiting to see what would happen. But no one was ready for what the judge would say next, or how Karen's entire case would fall apart in front of everyone. Alex had lived in the neighborhood for 5 years without a single issue. His dog, Max, was a golden retriever, friendly, well-trained, and loved by most of the neighbors. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't destructive. He was just a dog. But for Karen, that was enough. As an HOA board member, she believed everything had to follow the rules, her rules. One morning, Alex found a formal notice taped to his door. It wasn't just a noise complaint. It was a written warning from the HOA claiming that Max was a danger to the community. The wording was serious: disturbance, nuisance, threat. Alex was stunned. Max had never hurt anyone, never even growled. When he tried to talk to Karen, she refused to listen. She said the board had already discussed it, and she was just following protocol. But Alex wasn't convinced. He started asking around and found out that most of the neighbors had never filed any complaints. In fact, many supported him and loved Max. So where were these complaints coming from? And why was Karen pushing so hard? That's when he realized this wasn't just about a barking dog. It was something personal. And Karen wasn't planning to back down. Things escalated fast. Karen didn't just file more complaints. She demanded a formal HOA hearing. In that meeting, she presented a stack of printed documents, noise logs, alleged eyewitness reports, and even photos of Max sitting in the yard. She claimed the dog barked all hours of the day, scared kids, and made the neighborhood unlivable. But when Alex asked for specific dates and times, nothing added up. Most of her so-called evidence was vague or repetitive, and some of it was clearly exaggerated. Alex stood his ground. He brought his own evidence: security camera footage, vet records, and testimonies from actual neighbors who said Max was never a problem. A few residents even wrote letters saying how much they loved seeing Max around. Karen, however, wouldn't let it go. She pushed the HOA to take action, demanding that the dog be removed from the property permanently. And when that wasn't enough, she did the unthinkable. She filed a legal complaint, taking the matter to civil court and stating, under oath, that Max was a dangerous animal who should be euthanized for the safety of the community. That's when Alex knew this wasn't just a neighborhood dispute. It was a full-on legal battle. The courtroom was packed. Neighbors, reporters, and even people who had never met Alex or Karen showed up just to witness what was being called a dog trial. At the center of it all stood Karen, armed with folders, documents, and a confident smirk. She was convinced the judge would see things her way. She walked in acting like she'd already won. Alex, on the other hand, was nervous but prepared. He had a lawyer by his side and Max's full record in hand. When the hearing began, Karen spoke first. She repeated the same claims: nonstop barking, aggressive behavior, emotional distress. She even tried to present a photo of Max behind a fence as evidence of him looking threatening. The judge listened quietly, taking notes, asking a few questions. But as Karen kept talking, her story started to fall apart. She had no medical reports, no police calls, not a single official complaint from another neighbor. Just her word, and a lot of it. Then it was Alex's turn. He presented calm, clear facts. He played a short video showing Max calmly playing fetch while children rode bikes nearby. The mood in the courtroom began to shift. People leaned in. Even the judge seemed to sit up straighter. The judge took a long pause after Alex finished. He looked over at Karen, then back at the paperwork in front of him. The room was silent. Everyone could feel something was coming. Finally, the judge spoke, and his words hit harder than anyone expected. He asked Karen directly, "Do you have any official reports? Any vet assessments? Animal control records?" Karen stammered, "No, but I've lived there for years. I know that dog is a threat." The judge raised an eyebrow and said, "Your feelings are not evidence." A quiet murmur ran through the courtroom. He went on to explain that her case was not only weak, it bordered on harassment. He even questioned why she had pushed for such an extreme outcome without real proof. Karen looked stunned. She had expected support. Instead, she was being lectured for her behavior. Then the judge turned to Alex. He praised him for remaining calm, for bringing facts instead of emotion, and for clearly caring for his pet. He ended his statement with a firm decision. Max would remain with Alex, and no further action would be taken. Karen's complaint was dismissed completely and with prejudice. She didn't say a word. She just sat down, speechless. News of the courtroom decision spread quickly through the neighborhood. People who had stayed silent before started speaking up. Some admitted they were afraid to challenge Karen in the past, worried she'd turn her attention toward them. But now, seeing her brought down in court, they felt empowered. A few neighbors even stopped by Alex's house just to pet Max and say how happy they were he was staying. Karen, on the other hand, kept a low profile. She stopped attending HOA meetings. Rumors started flying that she might be removed from the board altogether. Some residents began organizing a vote to replace her, tired of the drama she had caused. It wasn't just about the dog anymore. It was about how far one person was willing to go control others. Alex didn't celebrate loudly. He just took Max for his usual evening walk, this time with a little more peace of mind. He noticed the smiles from neighbors, the friendly waves, the way kids still ran up to say hi to Max. Everything felt lighter. There was no big announcement, no parade, just a quiet victory that changed the whole atmosphere of the street. And Max? He wagged his tail like nothing ever happened. Since that day, things in the neighborhood haven't been the same, and in a good way. People started coming together more. The incident with Karen made everyone realize how important it is to stand up, not just for themselves, but for each other. The fear that used to follow every HOA notice started to fade. Neighbors began talking more openly, sharing their own stories of unfair warnings or strange demands they quietly accepted before. Alex never wanted to be the center of attention. All he wanted was to live peacefully with his dog. But by standing up to something that felt wrong, he unintentionally became a voice for others. His quiet strength reminded people that even in small communities, fairness matters, and no one should feel powerless, especially not over something as innocent as owning a loving pet. Max went back to his normal routine, morning walks, sunny naps in the yard, and the occasional treat from neighbors who now saw him as a bit of a local hero. The atmosphere had shifted. No one said out loud, but it was clear. The street felt friendlier, more united, and just a little bit braver. All because one man refused to stay silent when it mattered most.